I want to talk about Unity. I have worked on Unity projects in the past. I have a few games that are published with Unity projects, and I'm just overwhelmingly sad about their choice and monetization. Even though they wanted to redact some of what they were saying or what they were going to do and everything with leadership, I feel like it's still really important for them to know that developers like myself, a lot of indie developers out there, it's already such a risk to make indie games. It's already such a risk to make games in general. It is a very risky medium in general. Just like any kind of creative field, like writing in games and film and anything, even making clothes, it's really unfortunate to pull even more away from those developers who are literally making it to where your business is thriving. You're already taking a cut. You're having royalties off of sales, which is how Unity makes its core money. It's free, so developers can use it, but then they take a royalty check off of the sales after a certain point, right? And so it is Unreal. What's annoying about this is just that it feels very inhumane, right? It's just a way to push for more profit margin, and maybe they want to expand and they're wanting to beat Unreal in the big scary Unreal versus Unity thing. But when you make bad PR decisions like this, it becomes really frustrating for other developers, and people like other developers are going to stop using your product just off of of the sense of the inhumane nature of what you're doing here. Game developers aren't dumb, right? We literally try to cater to an audience. We try to make these awesome products so that people can play and enjoy themselves, and we study and study and study and have to keep on learning, as any kind of person in tech does, to make the best kind of product we can that is fun and enjoyable and sellable for your consumers. And so due to all that research, things like this really push away those kind of developers. And so people who were once very loyal to Unity, and I know a bunch of them, a lot of them have jumped ship, and it's Unity's fault, right? So even Godot or Godot or however you say that is having a rise, and other game engines should have a rise. Honestly, it shouldn't be like political, like right versus left, Unity versus Unreal. It should be a lot, expand your horizons and everything with the different game engines. As developers, we need to make the best choice. We need to make sure it makes sense for us to be able to use these game engines, and so the more monetarily, you know, conservative, I guess, on their end, the better, to where developers can make more money off of something that's already such a risk, right? Say if a developer works on a game for a year or 2 years with a small team, and they have, say, limited funding or no funding, all that time and energy and resources gone into that product is such a risk, because there's no guarantee of sale, right? Unless you've built up your company and you have past games and a big following and an email list and a bunch of stuff, everything like that is going to be quite, like, you don't know if you're going to get a good ROI from it, and so if you don't have a return on investment, then what happens is your company fails, right? And so anything like this, in fact, if anything, Unity and Unreal should really be showing off games from their developers and giving them as much screen time as possible to sell their games to, not only bolster their own profits off of, royalties and everything, but also just to keep these developers afloat, right? So many developers are, one bad game away from being completely closed. And I think that's just an important aspect to consider when you are these leads making these big monetary decisions. Think about the developers. Think about how you can bolster your developers that literally feed your developers and everything, right? If they're not game developers or they're not gamers to buy the games and all that stuff, but if they're not game developers to make the games, then you have no company. There is no royalties to be made, and you're going to be going off of only AAA and AA, profit margins, which, good luck. I guess that is a big deal, right? But very much so, I bet a bunch of money comes from, these what these basically these indie developers up and coming that make a really cool hit game, and people just aren't going to use your product if you're being bad to them, if you show bad PR, if you change monetization, any kind of thing that's effectively you're losing something, right? It's going to feel bad. If you had a system in place, people are used to that system, then that is fine. That's what you've chosen, right? Even if you add a micro adjustment to that thing, and it's shown on your, if someone basically posts something about it. Oh, did you know that they upped it 1%? Even that can feel kind of bad, but at least it's just like it's a micro, I guess, frustration in a way, like where maybe like Fiverr and a bunch of other, like oh, I know, like Fiverr and Etsy kind of raising their percentages here and there and here and there, and a bunch of other investment apps that do that and everything at a micro level. That can be frustrating, and you can also, and they've lost a bunch of people that sold on their platform as well. If they just don't get greedy and keep their monetization systems, to scale with all these other developers and crafters and makers and everything, right? Like, understand that this is all such a risk of time and resources and money on the developer side, right? This is all completely risk. And so encourage them, help them develop their game, help them get eyes on their games, rather than increasing margins and trying to make more profits. You make more profits by staying sturdy and staying a rock for your developers, making them really like your product and making them, have, be that cult following that you need to build your company. You don't do it by trying to increase profit margins. Yes, I understand developers need to make a lot of money, right? And so I'm sure your developers over in Unity are like, I wish I had a raise and all that. I get that for sure, but maybe you should decrease the sea levels money and everything. That's the whole thing. I know. Maybe you should not have your main campus in the middle of San Francisco where everything is insanely expensive and people need to make, $200,000 to live, comfortably and everything. So I think it's more of adjusting your own studio and understanding that that's what made you big and loved initially, and not kicking every developer in the pants for wanting to use your own product. So anyway, that's about it for me. I just wanted to do a little rant about Unity. Use Unreal. I don't trust leadership from Unity anymore. I've released Unity games. I have already kind of shifted to Unreal a little bit from Nanite and a bunch of like Lumen, that kind of stuff that is really, really cool. And I've just really enjoyed Unreal as an artist as well. So I suggest anyone who's on the fence, jump over to Unreal. It's worth it. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Physics.
Thank you all for your support and being our Baka Bros.
Happy developing, bros.
Hi. What's up? You haven't subscribed yet? Really? You should just do that. It'd be pretty cool. Yep, it would. Also wishlist, you know, on Steam, our game, Chaos Card is kind of a game we're working on for a couple years. It's been pretty fun, making some cool new characters. Hoping to stream every day, probably, if I can. Every weekday, anyway. If you're still here, that means my video retention is not too bad. Dope. But I go get some more Huel. Just ran out of my Huel and I need to get some more Huel. So, you know, I'm gonna go do that. I'll just, you know, be right back. Or, you know, if you want to watch other videos, you totally can. There's a lot of videos on YouTube, I hear. I also have other videos, you know. If you want to see more of those, you know, you can click on the bell icon too. I heard that's kind of a cool thing to do. You know, from other YouTubers and stuff. You know,